Dear learners, welcome you all to e-learning platform. Now you have reached week 5. In this week, you are going to learn a new poem by William Butler Yeats, and the poem is The Second Coming, a very famous poem by the poet, which is a religious as well as historical poem. Me, Faisal Ahmed, as usual, with you throughout the whole lecture. Faculty member, Department of English, World University of Bangladesh. Let's begin this week's lesson. So, as usual, you will learn the introduction to the poem and historical background of the Second Coming. Then the text recitation and summary and analysis. Introduction to the poem. The Second Coming is one of W.B. Yeats' most famous poems. Written in 1919, soon after the end of First World War. 1914 to 1919. It describes a deeply mysterious and powerful alternative to the Christian idea of the Second Coming. Jesus' prophesied return to the earth as a savior, announcing the kingdom of heaven. The poem comprises of 2 stanzas. The first stanza consists of 8 lines and the second one consists of 15 lines. So altogether 23 lines poem. The poem's first stanza describes a world of chaos, confusion and pain. The second longer stanza imagines the speaker receiving a vision of the future. But this vision replaces Jesus' heroic return with what seems to be the arrival of a grotesque beast, with its distinct imagery and vivid description of society's collapse. The Second Coming is also one of Yeats' most quoted poems. First stanza, Second Coming recitation. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed and everywhere. The ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Second stanza, the Second Coming. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the Second Coming is at hand. The Second Coming, hardly are those words out, when a vast image out of his spirituous mundi travels my sight somewhere in sands of the desert. A shape with lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, is moving its slow thighs, while all about it real shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast is our come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. That's the end of the poem. So now we're gonna start the historical background of the poem. So wait for a second. At the time of the second coming being written, much of the world had grown disillusioned with the turn of the century. From ushering in new and wonderful inventions, the motor car, small aircraft and others, it had gone to fray apart in different parts of the world. Revolution brewed and broke out. The Russian Revolution of 1917, the Easter Uprising of 1916, and of course, the First World War from 1914 to 1918 and 19. The most horrific bloody battle that anyone in Europe had ever seen, totaling a death rate that had since been unmatched in history. With all these events behind, it was no wonder that poets, writers and artists of all kinds felt as though that there was a great shift in the world happening, and that it would soon come to an end. So the second coming implies to the end of monstrous, horrific situation and the end of evil and the beginning of good with the prophesied second coming of the Jesus Christ or Isa alayhi salam. William Butler Yeats was an Irish poet born on the 13th of June 1865. He is considered a largely Irish poet, although he ran in British literary circles as well, and he was a big part of the resurgence of Irish literature. In 1923, he was to win the Nobel Prize in Literature for his poetry as the first Irishman. This was shortly after Ireland had finally gained independence from England during the First World War. Yeats died in France in 1939 and his remains were moved to Sligo on his wishes in 1948. Flying around and around in a widening spiral, a falcon can no longer hear the call of its owners. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconers. Things are breaking down and their foundation is giving way. Pure destruction and lawlessness have spread across the world, and so has a tidal wave darkened by blood, the blood of war and battle. Great War, the First World War. All the rituals of innocence have been swallowed by this tide. The best people aren't motivated to act, but the worst people are impassioned and eager. Some kind of revelation has to happen soon, and the second coming itself must be close. Excitedly, the speaker exclaims, "The second coming." But just as the speaker says this, a vision comes to the speaker from the world's collective unconscious. The speaker sees a barren desert land where a creature with a man's head and a lion's body is coming to life. That's the symbol of monster or evil or the Shaitan. Its expression is like the sun, empty and without pity. Very harsh, cruel and horrific. Its legs are moving slowly, and all around it fly the shadows of disturbed desert birds. Everything becomes dark again. Everything becomes dark again, but the speaker shows something new. 2,000 years of calm have been irreversibly disrupted by the shaking of a cradle. that implies the resurrection of the Jesus Christ, Isa alayhi salam. 2000 years back he came to this born in this world, and again after 2000 years he will return, which is speculated in this poem. The speaker asks, what beast whose time has finally come is dragging itself towards Bethlehem where it will be born? Bethlehem is the place where the Jesus Christ was born. The second coming analysis, major theme, civilization, chaos and control. The second coming presents a nightmarish apocalyptic scenario or chaos scenario. As the speaker describes, human beings' increasing loss of control and tendency towards violence and anarchy. Surreal images fly at the reader thick and fast, creating an unsettling atmosphere that suggests a world on the brink of destruction. Yet, for all its metaphorical complexity, the second coming actually has a relatively simple message. It basically predicts that time is up for humanity and that civilization as we know it is about to be undone. Yeats wrote this poem right after the First World War, a global catastrophe that killed millions of people. Perhaps it is unsurprising then that the poem paints a bleak picture of humanity, suggesting that civilization's sense of progress and order is only an illusion. With the above in mind, the first stanza's challenging imagery starts to make more sense. The falconer, representing humanity's attempt to control its world, has lost its falcon in the turning gyre. The gyre is an image Yeats uses to symbolize grand, sweeping historical movements as a kind of spiral. I think the same thing will come round again and again after a spiral movement. These first lines could also suggest how the modern world has distanced people from nature, represented here by the falcon. In any case, it's clear that whatever connection once linked the metaphorical falcon and falconer has broken, and now the human world is spiraling into chaos. Indeed, the poem suggests that though humanity might have looked like it was making progress over the first 20 centuries via seemingly ever-increasing knowledge and scientific developments, for example, the First World War proved people to be as capable of self-destruction as ever. Anarchy was loosed upon the world, along with tides of blood, which clearly evoked the mass death of war. Innocence was just a ceremony, now drowned. The best people lack conviction, which suggests they are not bothering to do anything about this nightmarish reality. While the worst people seem excited and eager for destruction, the current state of the world, according to the speaker, proves that the center, that is the foundation of the society, was never very strong. In other words, humanity's supposed arc of progress has been an illusion. Whether the poem means that humanity has lost its way or never knew it to begin with is unclear, but either way the promises of modern society, of safety, security and human dignity have proven empty, and in their place a horrific creature has come out, a grotesque perversion of the second coming promised by Christianity, during which Jesus Christ is supposed to return to the earth and invite two believers to heaven. This second coming is clearly not Jesus, but instead a rough beast that humanity itself has woken up. Perhaps the first stanza implies by the incessant noise of its many words. With this final image of the beast, The poem indicates that while humanity seemed to get more civilized in the 2000 years that followed Christ's birth, in reality people have been sowing the seeds of their own destruction all along. This rough beast is now pitilessly slouching toward the birthplace of Jesus, likely in order to usher in a new age of darkness and nightmare. Second themes, morality and Christianity. Here the Christian religion and religious views have been expressed throughout the whole poem by the speaker of the poem. The second coming offers an unsettling take on Christian morality, suggesting that it is not the stable and reliable force that people believe it to be. The poem clearly alludes or implies to the biblical book of Revelation from the start, in which put simply Jesus returns to earth to save the worthy, pious or good people against the bad or evil ones. According to the Bible, this is meant to happen when humanity reaches the end times. The time of the doomsday, the destruction, the ultimate destruction, an era of complete war, famine, destruction, and hatred. The poem suggests that the end times are already happening because humanity has lost all sense of morality, and perhaps that this morality was only an illusion to begin with. In the first stanza, the speaker describes the chaos, confusion, and moral weakness that have caused things to fall apart. In the second stanza, the poem makes it clear that it's specifically Christian morality that is being undone. In describing this wide-ranging destruction, the poem asks whether Christian morality was built on weak foundations in the first place. That is, perhaps humanity was never really moral but just pretended to be. The first stanza immediately develops this sense of morality being turned upside down. Good and evil, the best and worst, are no longer the reliable categories that they once were, replaced by mere anarchy. Mere means something like pure air. Humanity has drenched itself in blood, the blood deemed tide, suggesting that morality was only ever a ceremony, a performance that conjured the illusion that humankind was innocent. What's more, the poem suggests that no one, not even Jesus, can remedy this bleak reality. The biblical book of Revelation predicts a kind of final reckoning in which people essentially get what they deserve based on their moral behavior and religious virtues. It indicates that Jesus will come to save those who are worthy of being saved. But the second coming offers no such comfort. Instead, in the first line of the second stanza of the poem, hints that a moment of divine intervention must be at hand after the chaos of the first stanza. Surely some revelation is at hand. And as it turns out, some revelation is at hand. But rather than returning the world to peace, this new revelation makes things worse. A new and grotesque beast heads toward Bethlehem and birthplace of Jesus to be brought into the world. If Jesus was the figurehead for a moral movement, this new beastly leader is the figurehead of a new world of anarchy, in which the best people, likely the most moral people, lack the courage of their convictions and the worst are allowed to thrive. In other words, the poem portrays Christian morality and prophecy as weak or even proven false in the face of the violence and destruction that humans have created. The blank gaze of this new creature provides further evidence of just how hopeless the situation is. This being might have the head of a man, but it doesn't have moral sense. Instead, it is pitiless, It is arriving to preside over blood-dimmed tides and drowned innocence. Not a world of kindness, clarity, and justice. Its sphinx-like appearance is also deliberately at odds with Christian imagery, which further suggests a break with Christian morality. Meanwhile, the spiritus mundi mentioned by the poem is what Yeats thought of as the world's collective unconscious, from which the poet could draw insight or the undersurface meaning. This vision of the beast then is suggestive of a worldwide shift into anarchy as the collective mind of humanity lets go of morality. The second coming is deeply ambiguous poem or obscure poem indeed. Yeats revised specific cultural references out of the poem before its publication. But there's no mistaking that this is a bleak vision of the future of humankind, one which presents morality as a kind of collective dream that is now turning into a nightmare. That's the end of the lesson of this week. Thank you very much. So I'll be back with a new lesson next week. Thank you and bye bye.